Becoming the strongest version of yourself doesn't begin in a gym, and it doesn't begin buried in books. It begins by destroying a lie that's been fed to you since childhood. For your entire life, you were conditioned to believe that strength and intelligence cannot coexist. From cartoons to movies, the message was drilled into your mind again and again. The big, dumb jock versus the skinny, fragile nerd. One had muscle, but no brain. The other had brains, but no strength. You were told to choose a side, because the last thing society wants is someone who embodies both. Someone balanced. Someone dangerous. Someone complete. History doesn't just disagree with this lie. It laughs at it. The greatest men who ever lived were never one-dimensional. They were warriors who wrote poetry, philosophers who fought wars, artists who could wrestle grown men into the dirt. Miyamoto Musashi, Japan's deadliest samurai, shattered this false division. He won over 60 duels to the death, undefeated. Yet between battles, he wrote poetry, painted timeless artwork, and authored the Book of Five Rings, one of the most influential strategy texts ever written. And today, you're about to understand how much of your potential has been stolen from you, and why reclaiming it means burning this lie to the ground. The question is simple. Will you keep living at half capacity? Or are you ready to become complete? Chapter 1. The Awakening. Marcus's prison, New York City. 2023. Marcus sat alone in his apartment at 2 a.m., staring at his laptop screen. His fifth coffee of the day sat untouched beside him, already cold. On paper, Marcus had everything. 31 years old. Brilliant mind. Respected at his tech company for his sharp intellect and problem-solving ability. He'd spent his entire life sharpening one weapon, his brain. Books, theories, mental models, frameworks. Every spare hour invested into the one asset he believed truly mattered. And for a while, it worked. His career advanced. His reputation grew. His ideas stayed ahead of the curve. But there was one part of his life he dismissed entirely: his body. Exercise was for meatheads. The gym was a playground for shallow people flexing in mirrors while their minds decayed. Marcus openly mocked fitness culture. He told friends, "Why waste time on biceps when I could read a book that changes how I think?" He truly believed he'd hacked life, focus only on the mind, and rise faster than everyone else. What he didn't realize was that he'd been tricked. By neglecting his body, he was silently sabotaging the very intelligence he was so proud of. He thought he was operating at full capacity. In reality, he was barely functioning at 40%. His brilliant mind was trapped inside a body that couldn't execute its commands. The cracks appeared when it mattered most. Imagine Marcus in a boardroom, ready to pitch an idea that could redefine the company. He'd done the research, built the model, perfected the strategy. On paper, it was revolutionary. But when the attention shifted to him, his body betrayed him. Sweaty palms, heart pounding violently, hands shaking, voice trembling. The harder he tried to control it, the worse it became. The genius in his mind couldn't escape. His mouth. He wasn't being outthought. He was being out-bodied. The man who got the promotion wasn't smarter. His ideas were simpler, obvious even, but he delivered them with calm breath, steady posture, and grounded presence. His body carried his words like a weapon. Marcus collapsed under pressure. That's when the personality flaws. They weren't. They were biological symptoms. A weak body poisons the mind. Low testosterone, chronic cortisol spikes, poor circulation, shallow breathing. Biology itself had turned against him. He blamed willpower. He blamed anxiety. He blamed his brain. Their poetry had to be as sharp as their swordsmanship. A warrior who couldn't write was dishonorable. A poet who couldn't fight was incomplete. Musashi embodied this integration. After killing over 60 men in duels, he still spent his nights painting birds, writing philosophy, and meditating on aesthetics. The Greeks understood this too. Plato wasn't born with that name. His real name was Aristocles. Plato was a nickname given by his wrestling coach, meaning broad. Referencing his massive shoulders and powerful build, this philosopher wrestled men into the ground. Socrates fought as a hoplite soldier in 3 brutal campaigns, carrying armor heavier than most modern men could lift. Philosophy and strength weren't enemies. They were brothers. Even Leonardo da Vinci, the symbol of pure intellect, was physically imposing. Historical accounts describe him bending horseshoes with his bare hands. Across civilizations, the pattern was clear. Romans demanded military service before politics. Vikings wrote poetry alongside battle sagas. Kings, thinkers, warlords all mastered both realms. Being all mind was weakness. Being all body was barbarism. The elite were integrated. So what changed? Why did the last century convince you otherwise? Marcus found the answer. A divided man is controllable. A man with ideas but no strength can imagine freedom, but never fight for it. That's why the myth was pushed so hard. Schools, movies, cartoons. The dumb jock, the weak nerd. Marcus had laughed along, unaware his brain was being programmed for mediocrity. But reading Musashi's life, Marcus finally saw the truth. Here was a man who embodied Marcus closed the book and stared at his reflection in the darkened window. A brilliant mind, trapped inside a prison of his own making. That's when his phone rang. "Did you read it?" his friend asked. "Yeah," Marcus replied. "And you were right. I've been fighting with half an army." His friend's voice turned serious. "So what are you going to do?" Marcus stood up, feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Not motivation, decision. "I'm going to war." As he spoke those words, Marcus felt something else, as if the book itself was speaking to him, as if Musashi's wisdom was reaching across centuries. He flipped to a page where Musashi had written, "The way is in training." And beneath those words, Marcus felt a presence, as if warriors across history were standing beside him. Samurai, Greeks, Romans, Vikings, all connected by the same realization that all had faced the same lie, the same division, the same choice: become complete or stay broken. In that moment, Marcus understood he wasn't alone. Across centuries, men had discovered this truth, and now, in the modern world, others were rediscovering it too. He thought of his friend, thought of the community that must exist, men who understood that strength and intelligence weren't opposites, but allies. "There's a path," his friend said, almost reading his thoughts. "People are walking it right now, training both mind and body, refusing the division. At presence and purpose," he continued, "we keep this warrior wisdom alive, not as history, but as living practice." Something clicked inside Marcus. "Tell me more." Every week, we share teachings like this. The integration path. Ancient wisdom, applied to modern life. If you're ready to become complete instead of fragmented, subscribe to the training. Join warriors across time who refuse to choose sides. He paused. "This isn't motivation. This is method. The dojo is always open, and the men who train there become dangerous, not through violence, but through completeness." Marcus didn't hesitate. "I'm in," he said. "Show me the way." Chapter 3. The test. Day 1 was a humiliation. Day 1 was humiliation. Marcus walked into the gym the next morning, determined to start small. Push dash-ups. He dropped to the floor, set his hands, lowered himself down. By rep 5, his arms shook violently. By rep 8, his form collapsed. He hit the ground, chest burning, unable to reach 10. This was the man praised as a strategic genius, defeated by gravity and his own body weight. He lay there, ego shattered, wondering how he commanded respect in boardrooms when he couldn't even command his own muscles. But something strange happened that night. His soreness set in as the humiliation still lingered. His mind felt different. Clearer. Not more tired. Sharper. As if someone had wiped condensation off the glass he'd been thinking through his entire life. For the first time in years, Marcus sat down to work without his thoughts spiraling. The exhaustion of his body had silenced the noise in his head. He realized something books had never taught him. Exhaustion can create clarity. Musashi understood this centuries ago. His training wasn't about vanity. It wasn't about appearance. It was about survival. Truth. Musashi trained with 2 swords when everyone else used 1. Twice the weight. Twice the exhaustion. Twice the pain. People called him insane, but there was method in the madness. His body was being forced to evolve, and with it, his mind. Every swing under exhaustion trained him to stay calm inside chaos. Every repetition was a duel against himself. Fought in silence. Week 1. The fog begins to lift. Marcus kept returning to the gym. Every workout felt impossible. He couldn't lift, couldn't run, couldn't breathe without his chest feeling like it was collapsing. But he kept coming back. By week 3, the fog began lifting more often. The endless overthinking, the analysis paralysis. It started to fade. Problems that once took hours now resolved themselves in minutes. The weights were teaching him what books never could. Decisiveness. Week 8. Neural rewiring. Marcus reread Musashi's words, do nothing which is of no use, and finally understood. Anger, if unchanneled, is useless. Fear, if unmanaged, paralyzes, but physical training rewires everything. Modern neuroscience confirms what Musashi knew intuitively. When you train your body under stress, your prefrontal cortex strengthens control over the amygdala. You literally become less reactive, more strategic. Every squat taught Marcus how to rise under crushing pressure. Every deadlift taught him how to carry burdens without buckling. Every failed rep taught humility and the courage to return stronger. Month 3. Integration begins at work. People noticed. You seem different, they said. I can't explain it. The truth was simple. His body and mind had begun to merge. The separation dissolved. His posture changed. His voice steadied. His gaze sharpened. But the hardest battle wasn't against the weights. It was against the voice. Inside his head, the voice every man hears in suffering. Quit. You've done enough. Go home. That's when Marcus realized the iron was only the stage. Real duel was internal. Every rep was a battle against. Surrender. And every victory spilled into every area of his life. Chapter 4. Warrior Psychology. The Hidden Cost of Weakness. Marcus dove deeper into understanding what was happening to him. Musashi's teachings, combined with modern science, revealed brutal truths. This wasn't philosophy. It was biology. When your body is weak, your mind can't function at full capacity. A weak body lives in cortisol, the stress hormone that clouds thinking. It struggles to regulate testosterone, the hormone of confidence and drive. Blood flow to the brain suffers. Oxygen delivery drops. Focus erodes. Decision-making collapses. Marcus had lived this. That restless inability to sit still. That racing mind that never landed. It wasn't a productivity issue. His body was screaming for movement. That jittery energy wasn't anxiety. It was biology dragging him back to what he was designed. Push, lift, run, sweat, suffer, grow. Presence problem whenever Marcus had to present. Anxiety consumed him. Heart pounding, throat tight, hands shaking. Not because he lacked knowledge, but because his nervous system was untrained. His body wasn't conditioned for pressure. And here was Musashi's brutal truth. When the body can't act, the mind spins. That's why weak men overthink. Why they hesitate. Why they drown in theory. Deep down, the mind knows the body isn't ready for consequence. So it protects you. By freezing you. Weakness doesn't just limit action. It steals courage. Marcus Aurelius, a warrior emperor, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But Aurelius wasn't writing from a quiet library. He wrote these words while standing in armor. From military campaigns. While commanding legions. His philosophy worked because his body could execute it. His mind had a vehicle strong enough to carry wisdom into action. That was what modern Marcus had been missing. His intelligence had no vehicle. Musashi's ultimate truth in the Book of Five Rings. Musashi wrote a sentence that shook Marcus to his core. The way is in training, not in thinking. Not in planning. In training. Not because Musashi rejected thought, but because he understood something brutal. Thought without embodiment is useless. Strategy without strength is fantasy. Wisdom without presence is ignored. A sharp mind in a weak body is like a sword. Locked inside a rusted scabbard. It will never see battle. Your body is either your mind's greatest ally or its most dangerous enemy. Train it, and it becomes a weapon that amplifies intelligence. Neglect it, and it becomes a parasite that drains clarity, confidence, and power. That's why Musashi lived in caves, climbed mountains in winter, stood beneath freezing waterfalls, until his muscles locked and lungs screamed. He pushed his body to exhaustion every single day, because he understood body and mind aren't separate. They are one system. And the strength of that system is determined by its weakest part. Marcus finally faced the truth. His brilliant mind wasn't enough because his body was a liability. What he needed was to forge his body into something his mind could finally trust. Chapter 5. The First Transformation. The Boardroom. Victor Month 10. Marcus walked into the same boardroom where he'd humiliated himself a year earlier. Same people, same pressure, same high stakes, but everything was different. This time, when his turn came, his body didn't betray him. His heartbeat was steady, not frantic. His voice was clear, not trembling. His hands moved with confidence, not shaking. The presentation wasn't just heard, it was felt. People leaned forward, took notes,